Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Wednesday webinar. Today, we are concentrating on understanding your buyer engagement, teaching you how to analyze it and how to read it, where to find it, and then, some tips and tricks on how to maximize on that buyer activity. So to start, one of the most valuable tools to, get a snapshot or an overview of your buyer engagement is here within the weekly digest report. So this is, from a demo brand, but this is actually the template that would be sent to your email every Wednesday. And we'll review how to make sure you are on the recipient list in a second. But you would receive this every Wednesday, and essentially it's giving you a snapshot of the business, right? A snapshot of activity within your portal. And it breaks it out between, your reps and the buyers, so you can understand how people are using and then, the effect from that. Right? So I'm going to teach you how to just sort of read this and relate it to some market trends. So number one, the number of orders submitted. So this refers to your reps. Okay, so it's saying, it gives you the week, last week, and then a 30-day reference point, which I personally like to use. So it's saying, over the last few weeks, the reps actually submitted 192 orders within new order, which means they actually sent automatically outbound 192 order PDFs to buyers, right? So that's a point of contact from new order directly to the buyer, 192. Then I like to go down here and actually read the line sheets. So this is also rep activity. So, same metrics, it's broken out by week, how many were sent last week, and then, 30-day reference point. So it's saying about 413 line sheets were sent directly from new order, the reps did this, to buyers. Okay, so every time a rep sends something from new order directly to the buyer, it creates a connection, it creates a link, right? It's creating awareness. So it's essentially, sending them something directly from new order, which can result in driving traffic back into new order. It creates awareness. So this is really important, to understand. So, if I add these together, it's saying about 600, the reps basically sent about 600 items out of new order to particular buyers, right, in about a 30-day plus period. So that would be their, that doesn't include logins, but that includes, just basically their overall engagement during this time with buyers specifically. So then I go and I look here. So number of buyer logins, right, and easy orders opened up, and it says 900 for this 30-day snapshot, which is really great. Right, so this is extremely healthy. This is showing me that this particular demo brand, individual buyers are really returning to the system and using it. This is a huge value for them because they're using it as a resource. So they had over 900 buyer logins within the same period of time, which is very interesting because basically the reps sent about 600. Emails directly from the system to buyers. And normally, that actually influences the number of buyer logins. So it is directly influencing this number here. And in fact, the buyers are using it even more than, the reps are actually initiating, right? So they're returning. This is really valuable for them. They find this a huge resource, obviously. And we'll look into a portal after this and sort of identify some of the best practices that, get the buyer to continuously log in and then, result in a really high buyer login number, okay? Lastly, that what we look at is the number of buyer submitted orders here, right? So 128. So that's actually very healthy as well. Like, yes, the relationship, my goal here would be to increase this relationship, right? So the number of buyer submitted orders, I'd love to see this, increase as, you have about 900 buyer logins, right? But buyers are using for different reasons, but this number, and I always cross-reference this buyer submitted orders number, with the number of orders submitted by the reps. And 192 submitted by the reps, and in that same amount of time, buyers submitted separately 128 orders. That's amazing. And what that says to me is the buyers are getting it, and the buyers are catching up, to the reps, and they're actually enabling themselves to push send on their own. So, the buyer activity here is particularly healthy. Then another order that's another item in this report that's very important to reference is the easy order sent. So right here, if we're looking at that 30-day view, it says 50. So the easy order so it's a digital order form that's attaching itself to emails, to line sheet emails, right, when the rep is sending something out of new order. And it's just enabling or providing the buyer an additional link in the email. So if they want, they can actually write the order right there within the email. It defaults on when you're sending a line sheet. So in this particular instance, in the demo, it was turned off 390-ish times, right? So it was turned off considerably, a lot of times basically, because they only sent about 50 easy orders. If this number is extremely low, this can directly affect the number of buyer submitted orders, right? Because this makes it easier for the buyer. So, let's talk about some tips and tricks and best practices to, increase your buyer engagement, increase your buyer submitted orders. One very easy way is to send out more easy orders. Leave this on more often than not when sending out line sheets. And naturally, there's a progression of higher buyer submitted orders, with that, because you are providing an additional tool for the buyer so that they can easily write an order right within their email and not have to navigate into the site necessarily. Okay, so we're going to jump out of here now, and I'm going to show you in a second how to actually add yourself to the recipient list and make sure that you are receiving this weekly digest so you can check in and make sure you're on top of usage. Okay, so here we are. So I am in the admin section, and you can find that with the menu on the left side. If you click on admin, it brings you to this home page. So if you scroll down within admin, and you go to brand settings right here. And if you scroll down within here, you'll see this area right here in the middle, the weekly digest email list. And by adding yourself to this weekly digest email list, you will be a recipient of that email that is auto sent to you every Wednesday with the last week's metrics. Okay, so you add yourself right here. Lastly, what I want to do is just jump into the portal and point out just a few best practices in which a lot of brands are getting, buyers to log in repetitively. So some of my brands that, have higher, very high buyer logins, whether it's weekly or monthly, consistently they're having hundreds of buyers log in. What are some of the reasons why, right? And what actually gets that buyer to come back and use New Order as a resource? So a few things, but the information when you jump into the portal is on brand. It's understandable, right? And these are things that you should think about and definitely connect with your account manager on so that you can work on these and customize these together. But some items are, over here in the product details, this is actually all customized. So if you have custom fields or pieces of information that are very valuable to your buyer or that they're constantly calling and asking you, you should definitely discuss with your account manager getting those items added here so that, as the buyer logs in, they have everything they need right here to be able to buy the product. That's very important. The other item is over here, the filters on the left side. We can customize these filters for you so that they are working in the way that you or the buyer are searching for product. So if you see a filter that you wish that we had or wish that it could be built out a little differently because it would be easier for you to search for product, or maybe a buyer specifically searches for a product name consistently, we can definitely work to customize these filters with you and build them out. These directly relate back to the product details. So, think about these and definitely connect with your account manager, and they will work here to customize what we can. Additionally, banners across product. So, many brands are actually utilizing these buyers and putting custom text inside of the banner because it focuses the buyer. It conveys a message to the buyer, right? You're able to highlight specific products, whether it's, different colors and it says new edition or bestseller or promotional piece. You're able to communicate a message by product with the buyer to direct the buy and help them, maybe if they're in the portal, right? So it becomes a little bit more understandable and digestible when the buyer does get in here. Other tips are making sure that your images are actually high res. So if they do use the zoom feature, right, that's actually a crystal clear image of the item itself, where they can see the detail. NuOrder can also hold up to 4 images per item, right? So if you have, if the side view or the back or the detail view is important, making sure that those all live here. And also, if you are using case packs or very specific, types of quantities when ordering, making sure that the breakdown of what that case pack means, or what all of this means, and what the quantities actually are, putting that within your data somewhere, in the product details, is very important to getting the buyer to understand what they're ordering, and that will naturally drive up your buyer submitted orders as well. And there's a lot of different scenarios and different examples that your account manager can work with you and provide you, but that's definitely a big item. If you do have a different way of ordering, making sure the description or the breakdown is also attainable within the product details. So there is one other report that you can definitely look at any point in time, and it is in the reporting tab. And if you go ahead into reporting, there is the very first report is actually buyer metrics. So you can go ahead and trigger that at any point, and it will provide you all of your buyers on that Excel template and the last login and date. And that's it for today for buyer engagement and understanding, how to analyze the activity within the portal, and some tips on how to maximize it. But I hope you found today useful, and definitely get in touch with your account manager to take a deeper dive, maybe into some of your personal metrics, and making sure that we fully customize your portal to make sure that we're making it as easy as possible for your buyers.